Brand new models of FutureCast show who could see rain this evening. Then coats for the morning, t-shirts by the afternoon. Our up and down temperatures this week.
And we've hit the road on the WRAL storm tracker. Get a live look at backups and traffic trouble spots as they happen.
Parents shouldn't be pushed out of the workforce because they cannot afford to work.
Caring for kids. The governor announces a new task force to help parents find childcare. How the plan looks to save you money.
We are getting a live look at Southern Pines in Moore County. If you look close, you can see the rain coming down, droplets on the camera. This is among the areas getting the worst of the rain right now. Thank you for being with us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. So you got the radar behind us, obviously very busy right now. Things actually looking kind of clear in Wake County, but it's all that rain to the southern part of our viewing area. Kat Campbell joining us. So this is going to stick around at least a couple more hours here, Kat.
Absolutely, especially in our southern counties. We're starting to see improvements around the triangle. The rain chance is much higher in the south compared to the northern part of our area today. And that's as low pressure tracks closer to the coast. We do still have some rain around Garner, Holly Springs, Fuquay Varina, but it's really clearing out of Raleigh as well as the airport area, Cary right now, and mainly confined to the southern part of our viewing area. It's just light around Johnston County and Lee County, but some pretty decent rain coming down in Southern Pines, Hoke County toward Rayford, Fayetteville, and over into Sampson County as well. FutureCast tonight continues to show the rain kind of slowly inching to the south as we head to 9 o'clock this evening. It would just be a sprinkle left over in most of our counties. We're not likely to see the heavy rain by 9, 10 o'clock. And 10, 11 o'clock, maybe an isolated shower left, but that would be out of here after midnight. And then a big reversal and a welcome change for many of us over the next few days. Highs climb in the 70s. That comes with plenty of sunshine Tuesday and Wednesday. Every single day on our 7 days in the 70s. I'll let you know when we could hit 80 coming up.
And I'm Aaron Thomas on the WRAL Storm Tracker, currently on Sunset Lake Road in the town of Fuquay Varina, approaching 401. From the looks of it, it's indicative that this area has received rain and is currently getting rain. This is one of the secondary roads. We've also had the Storm Tracker out on other major roadways such as I-40 near the Wake and Johnson County lines, as well as US 401, which is what we're approaching, and then Highway 55 near Fuquay and Holly Springs. As you can see, we're dealing with mostly light sprinkles, but there's no traffic trouble spots at this point. Just checking out dual Doppler radar, you'll want to practice some extra caution if you're in some of our southernmost counties, including Cumberland, Hope, and Moore counties. Aaron Thomas, WRAL News, live in Fuquay Varina.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, we are watching those cameras around the triangle, our first evening commute since the time changed. We've got some sunlight still out there, some damp roads perhaps in Apex as we take a live look at US 1 at 1010 Road. But the good news is that through the afternoon and evening, the heaviest rain has stayed south of the triangle and not in the triangle area proper where we had very heavy traffic. And at this point, we're not seeing any big problems anywhere on our major routes.
All right, Brian. North Carolina's new governor wants you to have better access to quality, affordable child care. Today, Josh Stein announced a bipartisan task force to look at what lawmakers can do to address the child care crisis statewide. If you have kids, you know that this is long overdue. WRAL's Sean Gallagher shows us how this task force aims to change that.
People get stuck.
Inside Kate's Corner is the future of North Carolina.
Yeah, he's sitting up there.
Kids under 5 years old already getting an education from high-quality teachers, something the facility's owner, Kate Goodwin, emphasizes.
Prioritize educators first in early childhood, which is something that doesn't happen, by making sure that they have equal pay, good benefits, and have a healthy work-life balance.
It's a place Governor Josh Stein hopes can be a model for other child care facilities around the state.
My teacher loves White Houses.
He hopes a new task force will help with pay increases for child care workers who average less than $11 an hour in North Carolina.
That's not enough to pay your bill and support your family.
But without overburdening parents who already pay nearly $12,000 a year on average for child care.
When they see that they're paying for that care would eat up their whole paycheck, too often they simply stay home when that's not what they want to do.
The federal agency overseeing child care centers say affordable child care should be about 7% of a family's income. But 4 in 5 families pay more than that if they can find somewhere for their kid to go in the first place.
Right now, we have only 1 child care slots for every 5 families that need one. Moms find out they're pregnant and immediately have to jump onto a wait list.
I knew that I wanted to be a working mom.
It's why it's tough for parents like Vanessa Barnett-Loro. The costs aren't necessarily a burden, but getting back to work is important to her. And finding a place for her 3-year-old Ren has proven difficult.
All the child care daycares that we looked at were full. They didn't have any openings.
This should be a choice. Parents shouldn't be pushed out of the workforce because they cannot afford to work.
Stein is pushing for the task force to have a list of its activities and recommendations by the end of June, with a more comprehensive study done by the end of the year. In Durham, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
So 25 people will be on this task force. It'll include parents and child care professionals, Republicans and Democrats, making sure solutions can actually make it through the legislature. And look, these lawmakers know that this issue is directly tied to whether they get to keep their jobs. Get this, last year, a Care.com survey found 88% of parents said a political candidate's position on child care policy will influence their vote. 59% said child care access and affordability were among the top 3 issues impacting their vote. We know it may be a little while before the next election, but we also know that when it comes to child care, parents do not forget.
No, they do not. So let's roll through some of today's other big headlines. Here are 5 things you should know right now. The man charged with shooting and killing a man while driving down I-40 appeared in court today. Jose Reyes faces life in prison. This all happened Friday on I-40 near Harrison Avenue. The victim, Ricardo Baez, was on his way to work at the time. He had 2 children. Reyes will remain in jail under no bond. He's expected back in court later this month. The Raleigh police officer who survived a shooting in January is out of the hospital. This is Officer Max Gillick. He's at home resting tonight. The Raleigh Police Foundation will hold a fundraiser for his medical bills on April 1st, a hockey game at the Lenovo Center between police officers and firefighters.
A Johnston County school is facing a possible exposure to whooping cough. American Leadership Academy reports a possible exposure at the school in Clayton. A letter went out to the parents. Last week, Oberlin Middle School in Wake County reported a case. Vaccines for whooping cough are required by state law unless granted exemption. More furloughs for a Durham nonprofit that works to combat critical global challenges like infectious disease. FHI 360 says 45% of its U.S. workforce, including more than 370 North Carolina residents, have been affected in total. The company says this is a result of the federal government's freeze on U.S. foreign aid. We've officially had sports gambling in North Carolina for a full calendar year, so let's break down the numbers. In that time, people wagered $6.5 billion. The gambling companies made $713 million. The state collected $128 million in taxes.
All right, let's see what we've got tonight in the in-depth mailbag. Lots of stuff, in fact. I got some emails from all kinds of topics, from all kinds of people over the past couple of weeks. We're going to talk about a few of them tonight. Doge, federal layoffs, the Ukraine minerals deal, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, even a dash of the 18th century Italian politics. We have a little bit of everything for you coming up right after the break. Hey, buckle up. Feeling kind of gassed up on this Monday here. A viewer will start named Hoot. Yes, Hoot. Was hooting and hollering in the inbox, and he sent me a message in all caps, and I loved it. Okay, he says, Dan, you are the bomb. Left or right, you have an objective view on all things I have seen you comment on. Keep on keeping on. You are how news is supposed to be. I mean, Hoot, that feels good. That feels real good. I got to admit it. Very kind. Thank you. You got me feeling some Monday motivation. So let's see if we can answer a whole bunch of emails tonight from our viewers. And let's start with a pretty simple one from Michael. He asked, what kind of questions are news reporters allowed to ask? It's pretty broad, Michael. Thank you for writing in. Reporters can ask pretty much whatever we want to ask. There's an infinite number of questions and an infinite number of stories out there. The tricky part, though, is asking the right questions. Thinking outside of the box, uncover something that we didn't know before. The best reporters know how to do this really well. And I got to tell you, some of you in the inbox would be pretty darn good reporters. I promise you. For instance, Barb sent me this one. Why did everyone just blindly buy into Doge being pronounced as a revered pontificate, making it sound like a respected and revered name? We are in the South, and we say doggy. Now, look, I know this kind of sounds a little silly, but it actually is a really great question. Why do we pronounce it Doge? Well, for starters, the word Doge, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, is defined as the most important government official in an Italian city-state. It is pronounced Doge. This is a real thing. And here is Ludovico Mani. Great hat, top-tier facial hair, and count them, 1, 2, 3 capes. He was the last Doge of Venice and abdicated in 1797 after Napoleon invaded. Now, I can hear you saying, Dan, what? And what does this have to do with today's Doge? And as far as I can tell you, nothing. But it's pretty interesting, I will have to admit. Seriously, though, the Doge name is very unserious. It comes from a meme that was popular in 2013. There was an internet debate at the time over what this should be called. Should it be Doge or Dodge or Doggy or Doge? And apparently the internet settled with Doge. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. I wish it had a better story. But Barb, I will say you weren't far off when you brought up the revered pontificate thing. You were pretty close. Speaking of Doge, let's move on to an email we got from Chris. He wrote, there's a lot of news about the staff cuts at NOAA and other federal agencies as Doge goes to work. Is it possible that we are overstating the impact of all of these job cuts and sounding alarm bells a little too soon? So, Chris, this is an interesting perspective worth talking about. I think some of the concerns you are seeing, these alarm bells that people are ringing, kind of has to do a lot with how the cuts were made. You see, thousands of employees were laid off based on their job status, not really their job description. What I mean is, in many cases, they didn't investigate agencies and find that 3 people were doing a 1-person job and then they cut the other 2, that sort of thing. These cuts hit probationary employees. They were very broad, meaning people who were pretty new to the job or had been there for years and then recently changed roles to a new job. So yes, you'll get people criticizing anything and everything that this White House does, no matter what in some cases, but you can understand how reasonable people who want an efficient government could still be concerned about using the chainsaw instead of a scalpel with this sort of thing. That said, the White House has made some important corrections in the recent days. Turns out not everyone cut from the National Weather Service was actually a probationary employee. And over the weekend, those people received a message getting their jobs back. It said the notification of termination is rescinded as it was regrettably sent in air. People who got this message were then hired back to their jobs and offered back pay. These National Weather Service layoffs were a big deal, though. You may have seen the segment that we did last week talking about how this could affect forecasting storms here in North Carolina. If not, you can tune to the WRAL YouTube page and check it out right now. Our team of meteorologists was particularly worried about a proposal to end leases for buildings in Oklahoma, these buildings that house very important forecasting equipment. Well, the White House fixed that one, too. Republican Congressman Tom Cole of Oklahoma, a place that gets a lot of tornadoes, tweeted that he spoke to the administration and the leases will not be canceled. Let's move to another topic that brought out the alarmists, those mineral deals with Ukraine. Bonnie asked, what is the deal that Trump offered Zelensky? Has anyone seen it? Well, coincidentally, another viewer has. Eric sent it to me. He wrote, if you haven't seen it, a copy is attached for your convenience. Maybe Bonnie and Eric should hang out. They wouldn't need us at all. We checked, and Eric did send the correct deal. It creates a reconstruction investment fund. Ukraine will invest 50% of all revenues from government-owned natural resource assets, and that includes minerals, oil, natural gas, lots of other stuff, too. And that money will be invested in projects to increase development and processing all those natural resources. The thing is, this is just part one of the deal. What else that money can be used for, how much goes to the United States, how long the deal will last, all of that is still being negotiated. It says more detailed terms pertaining to the fund's governance and operation will be set forth in subsequent agreements. So this thing is far from over, and the terms may change. I did get a couple of questions about some promises President Trump made on the campaign trail. Todd asked, when is Trump going to execute the order of no taxes on overtime and tips? So we haven't seen an executive order on this yet, but Trump did renew his promise shortly after taking the oath of office. Here's a clip of him speaking shortly after that in Las Vegas.
No tax on tips. No tax on tips.
So Trump went on to talk about a House bill that would fulfill this promise. This is it, the No Tax on Tips Act. For now, the bill is in a committee, so we'll have to pay attention and let you know what happens. Hal asked, what about Trump saying that seniors should not be taxed on Social Security? Has anything been said since he was elected? So same deal here, no executive order, but the House bill is in the House right now. It's called the Senior Citizen Tax Elimination Act. But you should know this sort of thing has popped up before. This sort of thing has popped up for years here and there in the House and never really gets to where it needs to go. So we'll let you know what happens. Boy, I had to talk too much, didn't I, for a Monday? Are you guys, did you walk to the fridge? Are you back now? We covered a lot of ground tonight. Listen, we got a ton of emails. We get them all the time. I try my best to answer them directly or talk about them here on WRAL News at 7 o'clock. I can't promise that we can get to every single one, but I do encourage you to keep thinking outside of the box. Keep sending in those great questions we get night in and night out, and together we will uncover some stuff that maybe we didn't know before. Here's that email address again, dan@WRAL.com. This part of the newscast is about discussing the news, and we can't do that without you. So tell me, what is on your mind? And we'll go in depth.
Definitely some thoughtful viewers getting those questions in. That's fantastic. Hey, here's a live shot right now. This is from our WRAL storm tracker as we watch rain hitting some parts of the viewing area. But, you know, in other parts of the viewing area, this is what we get. This is North Hills. And here at 7 o'clock, it's 7:19 at night, and we see the sun setting. It's beautiful. Yes, if you had a tough time with daylight saving this past weekend, as our household did a little bit, here's the payoff, is the beauty in the 7 o'clock hour as we get that, Kat.
You're going to love it, I think, a lot more in the coming days when you have sunshine throughout the day and you really get to enjoy those later sunsets with temperatures in the 70s still at this time tomorrow evening. The sunset at 7:19, so right now you can still see it a little bit in the distance. We finally saw enough clearing in the clouds to get to see the sunset today. Southern Wake County still seeing some rain. One tiny shower around Garner. Holly Springs seeing some showers. Fuquay Varina, you're probably going to see just a little bit more, but we are going to continue to see this rain eventually shift to the east tonight. It's actually moving to the northwest, but as a whole, this area is going to be moving east with low pressure and clearing out. It's been a lot heavier rain in our southern counties. Some estimates close to an inch now in Hoke County. Southern Moore County, almost 3/4 of an inch of rain. And in Fayetteville now, over 1/4 of an inch. Up in the Triangle, many areas just a trace of rain. You know, it's green. You saw some rain, but it added up to almost nothing in your rain gauge. The pollen count today was in the medium category for trees, juniper, cedar, cypress, elm, and oak. Oak is now on our pollen list. At least we don't have the yellow pine pollen, but a lot of people are sensitive to oak pollen. It's one of the ones that you can't see, but you can feel. So just a heads up, if you are sensitive to oak pollen, that one's new. And pine pollen, it's coming this week. We're likely to see a stretch of sunshine, dry weather, highs in the upper 70s to near 80. We'll be high in the pollen category likely tomorrow, and then it just keeps on almost accumulating throughout the next couple of days. Keep that in mind. Beautiful spring weather, that's the upside. The downside is the pollen coming with it. 74 in Raleigh for the high tomorrow, 73 in Cary, 73 for Garner and Apex, as well as Durham, 74 Chapel Hill, and 72 in Clayton. High pressure is going to be building in the upper levels of the atmosphere. It's this ridge of high pressure that pushes in this warmer flow from the southwest, and that's why we get to enjoy a nice stretch of spring-like weather this week. Highs in the mid to upper 70s each day, even nearing 80 degrees by Saturday. At the bus stop tomorrow morning, jacket weather. Hello spring by the afternoon. Quite the difference. We could even have some of us in the 30s at the bus stop in the morning. So even though you see all these 70s, even 80, tomorrow morning the kids are still going to need an extra layer for sure. As we near the weekend, our lows even climb into the 50s. So we will see our low temperatures warming up as well. But look at this stretch on our 7-day forecast. 70s across the board. Once we get to the weekend, the downside here is that rain chances return. At this point, Sunday looks a lot wetter than Saturday, but we're still getting a feel for the weekend storm system timing. That could be a big one, so we'll watch that for you throughout the week.
We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll enjoy the sunshine in the meantime. Kat, thanks. Hey, one last thing. Whatever happened to that bridge on the Walnut Creek Trail that got Dan so fired up? It caught fire on Christmas Eve. Remember this? The city said it would take 3 months to fix it. Well, it's been 3 months, so we're going to get a status report after the break. Very appropriate that we just showed that tree, the wood.
Tis.
Because the one last thing that we want to mention tonight, do you remember that bridge on the Walnut Creek Trail that was damaged by fire in December? Maybe more so you remember Dan getting so carried away because he got so mad about what's so special about wood? Well, this bridge is finally back open.
Feels like you're a bit of an exaggeration there, but I was. So you might remember this. The city of Raleigh was having some trouble getting this material to fix this bridge. And then I looked at the bridge and I said, what material are you talking about? Is it wood that you can't get? So this is what it looked like shortly after the fire. This is the bridge near New Hope Road. The city said that this happened on Christmas Eve. And at the time, they said the repairs would take about 2 to 3 months. And it was because it wasn't just wood, Dan. It was lumber that was custom made to meet some durability and safety standards, something the city says you just can't run down to Lowe's or Home Depot to get.
Well, here we are 2-3 months later. It's fixed. Here's a look at the city's Greenway closures map. We scrolled over to the New Hope Road section of the Walnut Creek Trail and all green, all good.
If you go through that area, send us some pictures. I want to see it. I know people are fired up and excited. Thanks for being with us tonight.
We'll see you tomorrow.